Hello, everybody. I'm CJ Miller. I'm in my apartment in Shreveport, Louisiana, across the Red River from beautiful Bossier City, Louisiana. Always want to invite viewers or if you're within the sound of this video to come check us out on your holiday to or from or whatever. We're a heck of a destination, lots of fun things to do. But yeah, I want to talk about the sofa, which is kind of cool there. Yeah, it kind of works with the motif that my room is doing. Um, I have this tendency to uh, fill up a room. Now, this is a long room. This is this is just some of how lengthy the room is, and then the other half of it is the kitchen. So it's a very very long space. Uh, and I found that I was working with the length of the room. Wonderful, but I don't know. That's why I'm glad I found this sofa. I found it at Goodwill, basically. But their prices for something like this, it is a consignment store price, for this sofa. Uh, it's very comfortable. It sits wide. That's one of the things. I had the Ashley sofa that I also got from Goodwill. Uh, God, when was that? Gee, it had to have been. Um, yeah, within a year. But I got it, and it was comfortable. I liked it and everything, but it didn't sit back deeply enough, So I mean, like you'd sit like this and lean back and everything, but So this is going to sit a little bit more comfortably, and it matters. Listen, wherever you spend a lot of your life, your bed should be comfortable. You spend a good third of your life in your bed, so that should be comfortable. Your living room, where you entertain, where you spend your time, your leisure. My pizza's done. I'm making pizza in the oven. Where your where you spend your leisure should be comfortable. Now, hang on. Let me go turn this off. Okay, so a friend of mine. I guess he's uh, yeah, yeah. He needed a buddy. I needed a buddy. So we did some running around. We spent New Year's doing the buddy thing. We went to see a movie. Now, this is where this video really is a clandestine, or I guess I lead up to me giving a review of Nosferatu, which is a remake, another remake, because it was remade in the early '80s, late '70s, early '80s. So it was remade. It was remade sometime within the last whatever. I don't have details on that because I didn't see it. There was also another movie, kind of a sort of remake, called Shadow of the Vampire, which was basically what if Max Schreck, who played Count uh, Orlok, what the villain of the movie? What if he um, what if he actually were a vampire? What if it were a vampire playing a vampire? Whatever. That was kind of visited in the Anne Rice novels. The French vampires were vampire pl- playwrights and players, vampires pretending to be vampires or whatever. So I don't know. Uh, but I like it. I have not seen the original 1922, um, and I should, and I may now, but it is a shorter film. It is Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror, one of the very first horror movies ever made. So, and starring Max Schreck, which you heard that right. I mean, Max Schreck is the character from Batman Returns, uh, the primary big baddie in that one, the one that like even the Danny DeVito and the Catwoman from Michelle Pfeiffer playing that. I mean, they they were kind of pawns and exploited. They weren't the big villain that Max Shrek was, and in that movie. So yeah, and he was named after the actor who played Count Orlov. Count Orlok. I'm stumbling over that name, Count Olok. Now this or whatever. So this was the original theatrical version of Dracula. As far as I can tell, there may have been a short here or there, but this was the one that. And what happened was there was a big to do. Bram Stoker's family, widow, children, they protested the movie, said that copyright was kind of a new thing there as far as coming, because movies were new, so it was like, you know, copyright, you're exploiting copyright, blah, 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 so they're working that out. So this is one of the first big copyright battles or whatever. And basically, to whatever, they just decided they were going to take the movie uh, and destroy all the copies. That was what they decided to do. Well, you know, then of course we learn now that some copies survived hidden away in some vaults or whatever. It's probably some artesian, some of the filmmakers or whatever. They're like, this is great, but we got we'll just it was probably meant to be destroyed, and then somebody probably just like decided to hide it and whatever. But yeah, for a long time you really couldn't see Nosferatu. You would hear about it, but you wouldn't be able to see it. And then copies survived. And that's what I know about it. Uh, I've seen various versions of Dracula. I like it. I'm gonna get into the movie Nosferatu, uh, 2024 going into 2025. Uh, this movie is great. It is great. I saw Francis Ford Coppola's uh, version of the Dracula, and this is the one that most resembles this has that feel, the realism of it, to the novel or whatever. So I don't know how they took away, derided from, or changed just barely enough from, uh, you know, maybe changing the names, but the narrative, I don't know. But I can tell you that this movie, it is the narrative is so closely uh, connected to that of the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula, that one might think that they took um, the Count Orlok character and like maybe made the actual novel of Dracula, but prospectively changed the names. I don't know. I can't tell if this is a remake of the 1920, Nosferatu, The Shadow of the Vampire, or if it is a uh, remake of Francis Ford Coppola's remake of Dracula, and with some liberties and with name changes and things like that. So it's I mean it's especially in 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 regards to the female lead, who easily could be Mina Harker, uh, from the novel of Dracula. You know, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look. And what I want to do is I want to check it out some night when my friend Mike, who I saw this movie with, I'm going to check it out one night. We'll watch the Silent, it's like he will probably be like, "Oh my god, I don't want to," and I'm like, "I need to watch it with me." or read it with me or whatever. And it's big, so uh, I'm gonna have to. That's what I think is gonna happen with this movie, and it's like gonna catch on. It's for one thing, it's well made. It is a well made movie. Anytime you take a vampire, for me, when you take a vampire and you let that vampire be a monster, as he should be, and then at the same time, monster that he is, you let you let it also be a love story, because monsters still have feeling and emotion, and that's, you know I think a monster that feels emotion is probably the most terrifying monster that there is. And that's why I think the most terrifying monsters uh, are people. And I don't necessarily believe in sociopaths in the way that people have. I mean, I think there are people who I don't, the people. Sociopaths are depicted as people who are void of conscious. Uh, I I don't believe that. I don't believe that people are just born, uh, void of conscience. I think that we it's innate in us. We need to be. It's part of us so that we feel that we can be. Uh, we need a society to be a part of, because it is our nature to be pack animals. That's human. That's mankind, and that is why. Um, uh, you know, that's what drives us. That's what drives all living things. And just to understand that the animus of the human condition. Uh, you know, yeah. uh, I just think that some people go about things very differently when it comes to trying to find out where they fit in and how they're going to fit in. And um, then there are those craven people who have a rapacious appetite, and just this ambitious that will step over and walk over and things like that, or the people that get caught up and then get obsessed and everything. Uh, that's not that's not that's not sociopathy, and that's not I don't know. That's not hyper vigilance or anything like that. It's just a pathology. That's not the same. A sociopath as depicted in these movies, whatever. Uh, Basically, no. If yeah, I don't know. The Hannibal Lecter of us, among us. That's not, which based on Ed Gein. Ed Gein, I don't think was do we'll get to see that, pretty soon. They're going to be doing that's next season. All your true crime people, they're going to revisit that. It's going to trend because of the Ryan Murphy thing. But the original monster was Dracula. Actually, Frankenstein, way back. But that is the story of a love of a child wanting the love of his parent and wanting to find love and trying to find his way in the world. That's the story of a child who's been overprotected by the parent, breaking away from the parent, or finally being told, "Hey, if that's the way you're going to act, get out of my house." And the child goes out into the world and menaces the world because he doesn't know how to react in the world. That's Frankenstein. Yeah, like I live in the southern United States. I see that story play out every day. That's Frankenstein. That's the story between uh, parent and child uh, grappling with adulthood, oncoming adulthood, and everything. So, and then yeah, and then so, but Dracula, and Dracula was unapologetically a monster. Now, these were the original morality plays, also, and what they let, and these were love stories. Frankenstein had a love in the bride, because that really, that story really continued in the Frankenstein. It really continued in the Bride of Frankenstein, because that's what the novel was. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. It was really more closely related to the Bride of Frankenstein, really. But where he just, he wanted, uh, he couldn't, this is, yeah, whatever. So watch the story; it's great. But well, I'll talk about that another time, Frankenstein. But right now, I'm talking about Dracula, who basically is Count uh, Orlok, the original monster. Now, I'll tell you something else. Most of the great vampires, uh, Dracula and the like, and the Hammer films and everything, notwithstanding, they're great on their own. And I'm grateful that they made monsters scary again. Even uh, the Barnabas Collins uh, from Dark Shadows, and then later on the movie, where Barnabas was a monster that killed people in his movie, in his Dark Shadow movie. But going into the original television miniseries, the 2 day event of Salem's Lot, and then later on, it had a theatrical release in Europe uh, in an edited form, and that played on home box office in the United States in an edited form, and then more currently we get it in its full form, in its full TV form as a miniseries. But um, that vampire was based upon the Matt Schreck portrayal of Count Orlok, who was, the monster and shadow and very silent and didn't move and just, yeah, it was very, yeah. So if you watch the original Salem's Lot and then you watch, I mean, from the 1979 or whatever, if that's when it was, if you watch that movie, you're basically watching the perform, a copy of the Max Schreck character, uh, Count Orlok. It's literally, yeah, it's so inspired by it. But in this new Nosferatu, we almost get Count Orlok. To me, when I saw him on screen, looked like no other Dracula that I've seen before, except perhaps some remnants and echoes of the Francis Ford Coppola Dracula. But really, this particular Count Orlok in um, the new Nosferatu that I'm talking about um, looks more like the description of Dracula from the novel, and I've read the novel. Looks more like the description of Dracula, even with the the thick, mustache and everything like that, which Dracula typically is not uh, depicted as having at the very, so that's. I hope I didn't spoil it. I'm gonna have to put spoilers about this. If you don't know the story of Dracula, spoiler alert. I'll be like when I talk about the ratings. So it was fun. It was fun, and my friend enjoyed it. I enjoyed it, and then we went around and had a bite to eat, checked out some downtown spots, and neither one of us really drink, so I was like, you know, uh, but yeah, it was fun. But oh my god, I think what it is like I'm so glad that I'm home and I'm ready for some quiet. So yeah, it's time for some rest, relaxation. I got a pizza, about to get some nourishment, um, and yeah, because I really it's like oh my god, I'm irritable. But listen, Nosferatu, uh, which is a remake of Nosferatu, Symphony of Horror, which is the original. I don't know what it was originally titled, but when you see the original 1922 as it's shown today, mostly it's titled Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. So I guess that was the original, but it was a silent, but it was accompanied by orchestra music that heightened it. So it was one of the first movies where soundtrack was extremely important, but they may actually have played the orchestra in the movie House. I don't know. I don't know how they did that. And, maybe it was a silent, but it had a musical soundtrack that played simultaneously, or uh, yeah, you know, almost you almost wonder why it took them so long to make what we call talkies. Movie where we don't call them talkies anymore, but what they called talkies back in the day. Uh, that was so weird. I don't know. Analog recording is fascinating, but I'm about to bird walk onto a whole tangent that has nothing to do with anything because I need to go eat. But Happy New Year, 1925, and listen. Um, I'm a single person, and I really enjoy being single. I love going out and I love socializing. I love being with people. I love that. I love hanging out. I love doing whatever that I want to do. And then when it's time for me to come home and have my private domain, such as it is, I'd love to be able to do that. And if you really enjoy your singlehood, uh, you know, uh, your bachelorhood. Now, what do you call the female version of a bachelor? I don't. Spinsterhood. I don't know. Whatever it is, if you really enjoy uh, that, having your place, you know, your zone, your whatever, your apartment, your house, and so it's like you want to go out, really go amongst them and be with people and do all that, and then come back to your place, your corner, and recoup before you go out. There is nothing wrong, absolutely nothing wrong with being a person who enjoys their singlehood. I really do, and I want to affirm that, uh, to the totality of my being. And you're talking to someone, and I've been uh, uh, partnered or whatever uh, from uh, very early on in my adult life, like all the way up until I guess that last relationship, that my mid 30s or whatever, 30. When was I? Oh yeah, whatever. Whenever it ended, that's how like maybe 36, 37 years old, somewhere. I don't know. It was close to that. I don't know. Whenever 2005. 2005 going in. No, it ended in 2006. That's when that relationship. And so, yeah. So for that, but I was coupled with someone. You know, uh, I lived the life of a serial monogamous, where I would be with someone for like I didn't do the whole like. Let me just have a whole one night stand. Blah, blah, blah. I looked for long term relationships and things like that, and so And so you're talking to someone who uh, very much enjoyed uh, being partnered, uh, in long-term relationships as a serial monogamist. Uh, that's what it wasn't my intention, but that's what it turned to be. But then now it's like a single person too. And by the way, I really, really enjoy it. And if you're someone who's making that choice to be a single person instead of being with someone just because, oh my God, you're supposed to, I want you to know it is absolutely okay to be single and then run around and have friends and whatever. And yeah, whatever vibe you're doing, as long as you're being true to you and you're not trampling on uh, other people,